Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm Emily Montarnock, and this is week 4. It's an opportunity for a new beginning as our focus for the process. Last week, we talked about harvesting the good that the challenging times have to teach us and making sure we get the one thing that it came to teach us. Challenging times can take us forward as the victory story or take us down as the victim story. How do we turn this challenge into an empowering story for us? The tools for harvesting the good were to neutralize the experience, schedule that pity party if you need it, look for the learning, using the Franklin T-square exercise with the left and the right, explaining what was good from each of the elements of your dark night. Develop an unconditional friendship with yourself with references from Pema Chodron. And celebrate the gift of you, who we come into this life with and who we leave with. I invited you to spend time looking for the gifts of your dark night experience and rewrite your story in an empowering, liberating, and inspiring way. What was that process like for you? I'd love to hear. Feel free to email or message me to let me know how it went for you. As we complete our 4 weeks on standing firm when your world is shaking, the truth is that we never really complete this work because we are in the world of circumstance. The opportunity to apply the things we've been talking about just gets more deeply ingrained in us as we move forward in life. In everyone's life, there are certain times in this human journey that in order for us to wake up to the next level, it requires a sufficient jolt to our awareness to shift us to a higher frequency. It can happen with a sudden diagnosis or a phone call where somebody you love has had their life changed, and that changes yours. You open the mail and find out that the pension plan that you thought was safe and secure is not. Whatever your version is, sometimes it happens in an instant. Other times it happens more slowly. Life sends soft signals. If we don't pay attention, we're going to get some stronger signals from the universe to help us ultimately stay in course with our own soul pattern or life purpose. If we learn to pay attention to those soft signals and ask ourselves some key questions, we may be able to avoid the jolt. If there's an ember on your jacket and you flick it off right away, it leaves your jacket unharmed. If you leave it, it will burn a hole. So let's pay attention to these soft signals. Some of the examples might be for your health, when you're out of breath climbing the stairs, not sleeping, when you're not able to maintain your weight healthy. In a relationship, when intimacy level has dropped or changed. In work, when you feel less creative, focused, and alive. Take longer lunches or more sick days. These are signals. It's not if life is sending you the signals, it's what are they? What are the softer signals you are getting right now? Once we start to recognize the soft signals, we can learn to make a change. Part of this is creating structures of support for the change. Think of something that perhaps you've been telling yourself you are going to do or change. You've noticed a soft signal and you've been thinking about something that might not be going on. Maybe you've been telling yourself that for a long time and been intending to change for a long time. Our subconscious is patterned with old habits. This is why willpower ultimately is not enough to cause us to change our lives. We can do it for a little while, then we find ourselves pretty much slipping back into the old patterns. For example, from Apostle Paul, I'll tell myself one thing and I find myself doing another, because the subconscious is patterned with the other. Creating lasting change requires implementing structures of support. Supportive people, supportive study, supportive habits. All of these provide support for a change. It also requires deciding for the life you would love. The universe wants us to have lives we love to live. The life you want wants you, but you must decide for it. In this life, there are some dark times and rough moments. Every one of us can tell our dark night story. We hear them and know that had to be difficult for the person going through it, excruciatingly painful and scary. And yet we are still breathing. Every single one of us has full access to the capacities of a universe that is ready to take us to the next rung on the ladder, to the life we would love to live, the difference we'd love to make, the gifts we'd like to leave, and the legacy we'd like to deliver, if we decide for it. An example story from Mary. Years ago, Mary was waiting to pick up a friend at the airport, and had one of those life-changing experiences that you hear people talk about. She was straining to locate her friend among the passengers that were deplaning through the jetway. She noticed a man coming toward her carrying 2 white bags. He stopped right next to her to greet his family. First, he motioned to his youngest son, who was maybe 6. He set down his bags, and they gave each other a long, loving hug. They separated, and the dad looked into the son's face and said, "It is so good to see you, son. I have missed you so much." The son smiled shyly and averted his eyes for a moment. He said, "Me too, Dad." Then the man stood up and gazed into the eyes of his oldest son, who was maybe 9 or 10. While cupping his son's face in his hands, he said, "You're already quite a young man. I love you so much, Zach." They too hugged. It was a loving, tender hug. While this was happening, a baby girl who was maybe 18 months old was squirming excitedly in her mother's arm. Never once did she take her eyes off the wonderful sight of her returning father. The man said, "Hi, baby girl." He gently took the child from her mother, quickly kissed her face all over, and held her close to his chest while rocking her from side to side. This baby instantly relaxed and laid her head on her dad's shoulders. After several moments, he handed his daughter to his oldest son and declared, "I've saved the best for last." Then he proceeded to give his wife a long and passionate kiss. He gazed into her eyes and silently mouthed, "I love you so much." They stared at each other, beamed, smiled, and held hands for an instant. They acted like newlyweds, though by the ages of their kids they couldn't have been. Mary felt uncomfortable invading their space, so she said, "How long have you two been married?" He replied, "We've been together for 14 years, but married 12. Mary asked, "How long have you been away?" thinking it must have been weeks. He said, 2 whole days. Mary was stunned by the intensity of the greeting. She thought he had been gone much longer. Mary said, "Wow, I hope my marriage is still that passionate after 12 years. The man stopped smiling, looked Mary straight in the eye, and with a forcefulness that burned right into her, he told her something that left her a different person. He looked at her and said, "Don't hope, decide." Then he flashed a smile, shook her hand, and said, "God bless you." Then he and his family turned and walked away. We can decide for the life we want every day. Each day is an opportunity to do this. When we access our inner sanctuary, this is a place that is safe, connected, and pure inside of us. Hindus call it Hridayam. It is a place where you are protected from all the elements of the world of circumstance. This part of you can't be harmed by circumstance. In this place, not one thing can taint, harm, or mar our connection to the infinite. From this place, you get to decide what you will make of your experiences. You get to shape its meaning. How we connect with that part of ourself and then learn to live from that place is what it means to stand firm when your world is shaking. As you learn to live from the center, life can't throw anything at you that's bigger than you and your connection to infinite spirit, to which you belong, arise, and live from. So how do we take the experiences that have happened in our lives and use them to create a new beginning, a true beginning? How can we use it as something that moves us forward and lifts us higher? Let's use the acronym TRUE as a guideline for how to do that. T, think in an empowering way about your circumstance. The circumstance itself is neutral. It just happened. Whatever it was, it's neutral. You want to find an empowering way to think about the circumstances of your history. Ask yourself, what's an empowering way for me to think about my dark night? How you think about it has everything to do with it. Make it stand for, I am going to have an empowered way to think about it. Even if you have to make it up at first, make up a story that is more empowering than anything that keeps you at a victim state regarding your experience. Eric Butterworth said, "Consider the lowly caterpillar. It is self-evident that the caterpillar and the butterfly live in entirely different worlds, and no one would ever say that a caterpillar is a butterfly or that a butterfly is a caterpillar. Yet we know that the caterpillar and the butterfly are simply different levels of expression of one entity. The caterpillar can fly, but not as a caterpillar, only as a butterfly. It has the potential, but something has to happen to it. You can do the things Jesus did, but not as you or I are right now. Only when we move into a higher state of consciousness and go through this transformation. We don't want to get stuck in the birth canal. What we do in the dark night and what we do with our dark nights can cause us to get stuck in those experiences, or they can become the very propellant of understanding broadness and depth, building that takes us forward. It starts with thinking in an empowering way about your experience. R, release old ways of thinking, being, and acting. These old patterns pull us back rather than move us forward. We can't keep doing things the same way and expect a different result. Release the disempowering ways of thinking about your experiences. Release any aspect of your life where you are not feeling love. How can you bring love to this area? Release any area of your life where you're not feeling aliveness. What do you need to bring aliveness to this area? Take an overall temperature reading on your life. What's fulfilling and what's not? What do you need to let go of? You. Use your co-creative capacity to create a life you love. The boy said, "Wise man, tell me how to get to Mount Olympus." The wise man said not only to that boy, but to us, "I will tell you how to get to Mount Olympus. Make every step you take, head in that direction. Use your co-creative capacities to head in the direction of the life you love. Use the life work that is in you." E, expect these principles to work for you, for the good. Expect your vision to become a reality. Expect things to turn around for you. Expect good to come your way. Expect that that which you seek is also seeking you. Expect in the same way you would if you planted an apple seed and expected an apple tree to grow. Expect with gratitude. Using this TRUE acronym can help us move forward and take the opportunity to turn our dark night experience into a new beginning if we use it well. Using it well requires that we pay attention to the soft signals, create a support structure for necessary changes in our lives, make a decision for the life we love, learn to connect with our inner sanctuary where we are protected from the elements of circumstances, and learn to think, release, use, and expect in a way that moves us to the next rung on the ladder of our becoming. As we wrap up our study together, I invite you to consider these questions. What are the soft signals in my life right now? What structures of support do I have in my life right now? What additional structures can I put in place? What supportive people do I want to surround myself with? What supportive study can I engage in to train my mind and my thinking? What supportive habits do I want to cultivate? What is the life I want? How can I decide for it right now? What is the way that I best access my inner sanctuary? What can I do to live more and more from this place? What steps can I take to create a new, true beginning? Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you and would love to hear from you at the end, your empowered story, how the TRUE acronym works for you, and what you can do to support your life moving forward. May we have peace